All right, everybody. Welcome to episode number 47. Is that right? 47? I think so, yeah. 47. Well, today, episode 47. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on the Daily BLP. I know you got lots of choices, millions of choices out there on all the podcast platforms and video platforms. Thanks to you guys for choosing to join us here for a little bit today. So, got a good little show set for you. The week after Father's Day. Hopefully, if there's any fathers in the audience out there, you guys had a great time, celebrating all the awesome things you do for your family. But today's episode is brought to you by Metascribe, our remote live scribe service that helps providers save time and reclaim their day. Our trained scribes listen in real time and document directly into your EHR, letting clinicians focus on patients, not paperwork. Learn more at panahealthcaresolutions.com/medical-scribe-services. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so what's cooking for you this week, Matt, in the world of video production?
Yeah, kind of nothing too crazy. Got some podcasts coming out. We got some video productions coming out, and then just keeping the pipeline full for testimonial work and things like that. Been reaching out to some people just to get for them to record their testimonials. I've seen that been going really strong. But yeah, other than that, pretty much a normal week. Kind of caught back up last week from some travel I had to do, so that was good. So just on the normal grind, some sales calls, editing some videos, and all that good stuff.
Nice.
Yep.
Hey, how is the poker cast going?
It's going good. Actually, our last episode, we had a prominent figure on the episode. I think got about 6,000 views. It's going on right now on YouTube, so that's great. And then got a couple more in the backlog. Goal is to get one out this week. Just been so busy. That's obviously lesser on the priority list. But I have like 4 interviews in the bank with some really great individuals. Actually, had reached out to one individual who finally got back to me, who runs the Celebrity Poker Tour, which is pretty cool. So he has athletes, NFL players, all that kind of stuff. So hoping to get him on the show. But yeah, goal is, trying to keep it once a month cadence. I think that's realistic for, the amount of work we want to put into this aside from client work. But going strong. People seem to be reacting to it well. And I mean, just doing these interviews, I love poker already, but just getting into these interviews and learning more about the game, learning more about, the statistic aspect, all the different aspects, talking to these professional players. I mean, it's really grown my love for the game, and hoping to get out and maybe enter a little tournament here at some point as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because we were talking about that before. You were looking at doing that. Are you finding yourself like playing more with friends or online or anything like that to help you learn?
Yeah, so playing online a little bit has been really what's helped me learn, like take what what they're telling me in the interviews and actually implementing it. So online, but not for money yet, just because I want to get my skill up. And then other than that, they play kind of remotely with some buddies back home and things like that. But would really like to really test the waters of the in-person play at like a casino with people you don't know, because just talking to these individuals, that's like the next step. There's so much going through. You got to deal with the mental people you don't know, just the nerves, all that. So that's what I'm hoping to do, probably at least before the summer ends, probably, because there's a casino about an hour and a half outside of me called Blackhawk that they do some tournaments. So hoping to see if I can get out there before the summer ends.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a casino when I was talking last time, we were talking about when we were in California a couple of years ago. There's a casino like a half an hour west or so of Denver that we went to just because it seemed cool. It was like built in like this ravine where you're kind of driving through the mountains, and this little bitty casino town kind of thing right there. And that was kind of neat. We drove out there, and
nice.
I didn't do any gambling. I just kind of walked around and saw it, and Manny spent a little bit of money. Maybe he won some. I don't know.
Cool.
But so on our side of the world, a couple cool things going on. We've got that $35,000 IT project closed on Friday, like I thought it would. So That's exciting. Now we're just kind of putting together the big order and kind of building the project out. So that's a cool little win. Couple things, some new RCM leads just popped into the pipeline today. So I scheduled some discovery meetings with those. One of them is kind of an AR project, small, and another one's a full RCM service deal for a growing dental practice over in Virginia.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. Still got kind of a major IT prospect in the pipeline. This is one where over in New Jersey, a hospital is looking for after-hours IT support, remote support. So that one's still cooking. We heard back from them last week that their IT director is just waiting on some numbers from their operations person to basically find out how many, because what we would do for them really is predicated on how many endpoints or computers we'd be supporting overnight all at once. Like they could have 300 employees working in the hospital overnight, but maybe they're, between 300 employees, they're only using 125 computers, like different nurses are using the same computer and stuff like that. So we just need some of those numbers so we can give them a good number, but that's looking promising.
Nice.
So that's kind of neat. Hopefully we hear back and we get a proposal out to them later this week. So that's fun.
Cool.
Another quick thing, I wanted to do this segment. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while now. And as soon as I think as soon as we put a little bit more steam behind this, people from our team are going to want to be a part of it. I think people are kind of shy, but I want to start highlighting employees as much as I can on the daily BLP for some of the cool things they're doing. So the employee I want to highlight today, I want to make sure I pronounce her name right because I could kill it. I think it's Vaibhavi Mittal. She is a senior scribe for our team, a senior medical scribe. She's been with us for 2.5 years. She was actually a scribe for 3.5 years before that. I think she finished her training in 2019 and she was with a different company for a number of years. Came to us and she's been knocking it out of the park. A couple weeks ago, we got some really cool feedback from the provider that she works with a client of ours out in Utah. They're in a small town outside of Salt Lake City. I think still kind of considered Salt Lake City. I went and visited these guys, I think 2 years ago now. Got a nice Utah Jazz hat and stuff.
Nice.
But they, great client of ours, functional medicine clinic, quite a few providers. They're awesome. We love them to death. But all of their providers have scribes, which is really cool. And I just wanted to kind of share what this provider said about Miss Mittal. So I wanted to let you know how fantastic Vaibhavi is. She is the best scribe I've ever had. Her notes are fantastic. She is fast and efficient, and I am always highly impressed by her ability to capture all the important points my patients mention. She is amazing, and I'm so lucky to have her. So I'm not laying it on thick there. That's word for word what she sent us. That's awesome. Vaibhavi, thank you. If and when you ever watch this as a member of our team, we really appreciate the way you're taking care of your provider. It means a lot, not only to us as a company, but to her as a provider and her patients, making her life easier. So that's pretty cool when we get that type of feedback. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Love to hear that.
So that's one of the things I want to start doing on the show to edify our awesome team. Whether it's scribes, whether it's billers, coders, AR people, IT people, you name it, even digital marketing people, audience, you guys get to meet some of our folks that help on the show, but our guys are kicking butt day in and day out, and I want to give them a little bit of a platform to congratulate them. So if you watch and you know Vaibhavi, give her a message. Tell her she's awesome. Cool. All right, moving on. What's going on in the SMB world today? Man, every time I look up stuff, it's always AI. It's always AI. It's always AI. So today's topic of AI, I guess you could say, is not really what I look to talk about, but apparently a big thing that's trending right now in the SMB business world is, small to medium-sized businesses like ours, Matt, are adopting AI, right? Generative AI and stuff.
100%.
But what's starting to happen is teams starting to use this, they're starting to get overwhelmed with kind of throwing everything at AI and how much AI can throw at them back. So where we used to be bogged down with tasks that maybe seemed like they were taking us too long, now we have AI do that for us, writing a story, writing an email, blah, 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 whatever. Now it can do some of that so much so fast, it's bottlenecking things as we're throwing them out, it sounds like. So interesting. So they'll probably train an AI to do that. I mean, do you see that as kind of when you're using AIs in different ways, it's just so easy to get so much information, you almost get paralyzed by the amount you can create?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I definitely see is it gives you so many honestly great options. Like you said, it kind of bottlenecks because then you're like, oh crap, which one do I want to use? Like sometimes what we use it for is we'll write out like the copy for a social post and then we'll plug it into Chat GPT or whatever and just be like, hey, how could we improve this, make it sound better? And sometimes it'll give us a few options and you're like, dang, all three of those options are so good. Which one do I use? So I've kind of seen that a little bit as well. And then, other than that, we try to use AI as more of a tool as opposed to be completely reliant on it, especially with things like clips and things of that nature. If you see video clips out there and sometimes the subtitles are all off and it's all glitchy and the cuts aren't there, that's when people are utilizing it a little too much. And so for video production, we try to use it as much as a tool to help us pick spots that'd be good to clip, and then we do it manually, because when you become too reliant on it, then that becomes an issue. But yeah, things like copy, that we utilize it a little more. I do see it because you have so many great options and all this information, and you're like, okay, I want to use that sentence from that paragraph, but then I want to use this sentence from this paragraph, and then you end up spending like 30 minutes on that. So I totally see that in our business.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm seeing now is, we have a ton of Zoom meetings, right? Because we're across the globe. We have an office with quite a few people over in India. We have our office here. We have some people that work from home. A lot of our clients are all over the country, so we're not meeting with them face to face in an office when we get to see them, either in the sales process or once they're clients. A lot of Zoom meetings, right? So we did the show. I don't think it's aired yet. But we did the Fireflies.ai show, right, a little while back. That's coming out, and that got my head spinning. But we're using Zoom, and we're using Zoom AI now, which is getting better. I don't think it's awesome yet, but it's definitely getting better. And they're kind of plugging it into a lot more things where now it's not just able to take notes and summarize them or, transcribe the whole daggum thing and then summarize it. Now you can, during a meeting, if we're all in there, like let's say it's you and me and a couple other guys in the meeting and I'm late, I show up 10 minutes late. Hey guys, sorry I'm so late. I can ask my AI companion to catch me up on the meeting while you guys are still talking.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So like that's cool, right? And so it's as long as you have the control to turn it on and off, right? Record, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that's kind of overwhelming is so many different things it can do. Should we just, like the other day, a couple weeks ago, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to turn all these features on, let the team know it's there, and have them use it, and then start to, as they're using it, try to figure out what are people doing with it. Are people using it just for meeting notes? Are people using it for those kind of things? Are people using it to grab information in a meeting? Like, hey, look this up for me real quick, as opposed to having to go out to ChatGPT or something like that. And the other part of it is post-meeting, right? So we record almost all of our meetings. I usually forget to record mine when I host, but everybody else is kind of like on auto record, except for our Scribes. And so that AI companion is taking notes. And you get done and you have this long, both transcript and summarization. And it's like, holy crap, I'm glad it's there. So I'm paying attention to the meeting and not taking notes. But at the same time, there's this, when I used to take notes through a meeting, it would almost be disjointed sometime. Hey, could you repeat that? I didn't quite catch that. I was just taking notes on that. Or it would slow down the meeting. Hey, let me write that down real quick, right? Or type that out during a meeting so I don't forget that. But the process of doing that solidifies those things in your mind so you can recall them later when you need to in a meeting or when you're building a proposal or something, right?
Yep.
And when you don't go through that process, either writing or typing out, and the AI is doing it for you, it's creating all this data for you, you can go back and find. But like I tried doing that today because I was working on going through all my deals from the last couple months to find out if there's anything that fell between the cracks. I'm like, okay, we've got a recording on this one. Popped on the recording. Yep, Zoom had all the notes there for me, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I want to know is when she said how much revenue they generated per month.
Right.
And it took me like 10 or 15 minutes to pour through all these notes to find, there it is, 406K. Yep. Okay, got it, right? But if I would have taken that note myself, I guarantee I wouldn't have forgot that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely.
that's a part of that. So much you leave to that AI to do for you for convenience. but then you professionally, you don't have that mechanism built in of how you're going to get back at that data if you don't remember it.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I agree. And it's one thing not so much affecting us, but I think it's more so the individuals that are probably in college, school right now, where they're essentially growing up with this. I think it kind of stunts the problem solving mechanism in your brain a little bit too, because you're like, oh, I can just go ask this. I mean, I've even caught myself, sometimes not being as skillful in some areas because I've relied a little too much on it. But I can only imagine, these individuals that are quote unquote growing up in this world of AI, how that could stunt them in that way as well.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, you're a little bit younger than me, Matt. So you grew up in the age of search engines.
Yep.
Like in high school, I had search engines, but they were very rudimentary. There was one called Web Crawler. There was Yahoo, and then Google was just getting started.
Yeah.
And it wasn't super reliable. It was kind of like AI was a couple of years ago, right? It was like, well, this is okay. It's kind of cool. But now you're right. And it's like, I remember, it being in my mid to late 20s after college and 30s, the last 20 years being like, man, these kids growing up with the Google, they can't solve a problem without going to Google. Yeah. And now that's how I live.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, man, these kids growing up with AI, they're not going to be able to solve a problem without AI, and we're using it too.
Yeah.
It's so crazy but you're absolutely right. I remember in high school, we couldn't even have calculators unless it was like advanced algebra or physics or something where you had to have a special one. I couldn't afford the dang thing anyway. I was always
those calculators got crazy, man. I remember getting
$150 for a calculator in the 90s. That's like $2,000 now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good math or not, but it was a lot of money, and the money I did not have.
Yep.
So, and there was no Facebook Marketplace. There was garage sales and Goodwill when I was a kid,
Yeah.
But seriously though, you're absolutely right. It's like, because your brain is a muscle. Problem solving is a muscle. It's kind of like, I remember when I first started playing football. Like, football was my favorite sport growing up, but I didn't play organized football until like 8th grade because my parents it was too expensive to play like Pop Warner and stuff, and we didn't have insurance, so there was no way I could afford to get hurt. But once the schools started covering that kind of stuff, then I started playing. But 8th grade, I remember I didn't need my ankles taped. I just thought it looked cool. You see guys in the NFL with their ankles taped. I was a huge Emmitt Smith fan. And when I was in middle school, I played running back. And I was like, I got to take my ankles. That's protecting them. So I don't want to roll my ankle, Tape your ankles. That's what the pros do. Tape them up. I remember the first time I taped my ankle. It was the stupidest thing. I had it was the 8th grade. It was kind of like a club team because our school didn't have a middle school team in the small town that I went to middle school at, but we didn't have any of the pre-tape gauze, soft stuff that goes under the tape. Okay. So my coach taped up my little hairy legs with the athletic tape right to the hair.
Oh, that's no fun. I know that feeling. Yeah.
It was not cool, man. It seemed cool when it was getting done. I was like, this is legit. I'm the real deal now. So like, it was my first game ever. And I got my ankles taped up. No way these things getting hurt. And then I can remember freshman year, I had my freshman coach, who was awesome, Mr. Osterman. He was a great coach. I had him for a class. And I think it was some, like, we never did anything in the class, but just sit there and like read in the book. There was never any tests. Coach would sit up there at the front of the desk and kind of flip through a magazine, and we would all just sit looking. I think it was geography. I can't remember. But anyway, we never did anything. Everybody just passed. But I can remember talking to him, and I was like, man, don't tape your ankles. I'm like, why? It's cool, man. I don't want to get hurt. It's like, tape your ankles, then your body is not going to develop those tendons and muscles and everything, like, because it's like attaching a crutch to you. Don't tape your ankle unless they're weak or they're hurt.
Yep.
Right. So I'm like, so from there on, I never taped up again unless I had an injury that I was playing through.
Nice.
And it's the same way with these. It's like, and it's interesting, in a school environment, I think it's definitely from a standpoint of that developing that muscle, it should be, I don't know how you do it these days, man, but it's got to be regulated, right? Like, plagiarism was a big thing when I was in college because Google was getting so big that people would just find things on things. And then when I was in high school, it was Cliff Notes. You try to find the Cliff Notes book, but the teachers had all the Cliff Notes books, so you couldn't get away with it.
Yeah.
But it's this happy medium. It's like, it's you could say in the real world, you do what it takes to get it done legally, morally, and ethically, right? And then in school, but you're still trying to train a new muscle. You're trying to build something up and give somebody the ability to overcome adversity and solve a problem without the crutch, right?
Exactly.
So, because it's true in the real world, you just try to figure it out.
Yep.
Whether you're looking at your neighbor or, your competitor, right? So, we're in the marketing business. One of the things we do to see how good we're doing SEO wise or performance wise is how's our competitors doing? What are they spending ad spend on? What are they doing?
Yep.
Because if we're not doing something similar, and we could be falling behind. So
100%.
Anyway, AI, it's just one of those things. It's like I was listening to something about it over the weekend when I was working out in the yard on Saturday. My wife didn't make me do any yard work yesterday. I just had to cook. But
Father's Day gift right there.
Yeah. I was laboring on Saturday, man. I dug 2 drainage ditches in my front yard to get water further away from my house because I found out I'm getting water 8 to 10 yards away from my house, but still we're getting so much rain it would pool up, saturate the ground, and work its way back to the house. So
Got it.
Man. So I was doing some manual labor, so I was sore.
Yep.
I was sore on Sunday. But anyway, I was listening to a thing and I was just thinking to myself, man, is AI really make us better off? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Use it like a tool. Like try to use it like a tool. Try not to become too reliant on it. But at the end of the day, yeah,
it's way too seductive. I mean,
it is.
It's just. But here's the I don't know if it's gonna be darnful or not. But it's just so like, look this up for me. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I tie my shoes? How do I brush my teeth? Sooner or later.
Yep.
Like your kid's going to come up to you and ask you to do something. Dad, can you teach? No, just go ask whatever the AI's name is. You name it. Every company's got a different AI name now.
Yep.
So, but I mean, if the question I was trying to pose in my head, it's getting real deep, was if we could just turn back the time and not have it, would we be okay? And I was like, yeah, we'd be totally fine.
We'd be fine, yeah.
Yeah. You could probably say that about a lot of things. If we could turn back the time and not have the internet and not have this or not have cable TV, there's probably a lot of things. There's probably a certain time where certain things come along that we benefit and have fun with, but don't necessarily benefit us.
Yep, 100% agree.
But I don't know. It's useful, but it's like, where does that it's a deep slippery slope because as a company we're like, well, we got to start investing money in this AI stuff, and we've got to figure out how if one of our employees can get so much done a day, can we train or program an AI to get 10 times as much of that done? You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, that's not necessarily better for that employee for sure. Is it good for our bottom line? It seems like it. One of the things we're looking at is agents. Remember you were talking about agents a while ago? So the type of agents we're looking at is like calling agents. This is getting big fast. People are training AI to make sales calls. And I'm like, there's no way. There's too much nuance in a sales call. And then my business partner, Joe's been working on this. He got on a phone call with me. He's like, hey, I'm going to have this AI call you over our call, and I want you to interact with it like you're the business and be an a-hole. I'm like, okay, I can do that because I know what they act like. And I know what I act like when I get telemarketing calls, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he couple clicks and he's sharing his screen with me in the Zoom meeting so he selects the most expensive AI, which was 24 cents a minute.
Okay.
Right? So you pay for these AIs that are on somebody's server, or you spin up a server, and these AIs, they spend their daytime calling people, and then you get charged back so much a minute, depending on the quality and the delay and the voice recognition, all that. So this guy calls me, he has a name, I'm talking to him. He sounds 95% natural. You know, if I didn't know he was AI, it would have taken me a couple minutes to figure it out. I would have eventually, but he's asking me the right questions and I'm answering like, maybe, I don't know, and don't really have time for this right now. You know, I'm going through all the things that I'm used to dealing with when I make cold calls. And this AI is as good, if not better, than most of the people I've hired in the last 4 or 5 years to be a cold caller.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, dang.
Yep.
So I'm like, and I didn't know how much it cost at the time. Like, Joe, how much it cost? He's like, well, this was 24 cents a minute. Let's roll down to the 9 cents a minute one. So we did, and that one wasn't that bad. It just had a little bit more lag in its thought process and then its vocalization. It just took a little longer when I asked it a question for it to respond. And we're talking milliseconds. I'm not talking, like, it didn't take like 5 seconds for it to come up with an answer. But I started doing the math. It's a lot of people think, because what my other partner Manny, he was like, let's do it. This is amazing. We can have him call thousands of people a day. We're gonna be, and I'm like, pump your brakes, because here's how it works. Still, you're just one AI, 9 cents a minute, only so many minutes in the day. It's gonna get on calls just like I would and be on hold or get hung up on. It's gonna deal with all the same things. Now it's gonna be more efficient between looking up the next prospect and taking notes and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're still gonna be paying per minute. So if let's just say it's 10 cents a minute. So every hour it's, we're going to be paying it. So we're still at the end of the month, we're still going to be paying a couple grand for a robot to be making our calls.
Yep.
That's what we'd be paying to a person. Is the yield going to be that much better?
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Still have to have a budget to do it. It's kind of like in the phase right now. It feels like when cell phones came out, right? And there was no unlimited calling packages. There's no unlimited text or data.
Right.
You were paying per character you input. That's where all this shorthand stuff came from, right?
Yep.
LOL, all that kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly.
So, the monetization model is still not, the cost of entry is still pretty high. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So,
Yep.
Fun stuff. I don't know. Have you thought about hiring robots to make cold calls for you?
Not make cold calls, more so, the AI agents on your website. If someone wants to kind of chat, like little chat bots.
Same agents. Concept.
Yeah, we thought about that. We haven't gone so far as cold calling because, at least for me, that's a lot of what I do. And it comes across well, like, hey, I'm the owner, XYZ. And so it's good for me to do that. But, at some point, if things keep going on the trajectory it's going and we keep getting as busy as we are, definitely something I'd look into 100%.
Yeah, I just might, I don't know, if they can figure out cloning, I'll just sneak up on Bobby G.
Yeah.
And just like pluck some of his hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or like take a little skin sample.
Yeah. Just clone them.
And just send them off to the cloners.
Yep.
Just make a bunch of Bobby G's.
Just make a bunch of Bobs. Yeah. And you just got an army of Bobs calling people.
Just calling.
Yep.
Just killing it.
Yep.
Paying them sweatshop dollars.
Yep.
No. Speaking of Bobby, he's doing a good job. He booked 2 more appointments for me last week. So I've got none on the docket this week, but 3 next week, all like Thursday and Friday. And so we're driving to North Carolina with Manny. I don't think Manny wants to fly after the India Air thing and stuff like that.
Understandable. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. So we're gonna drive 13 hours to North Carolina. It'll be a good bonding exercise between the two of us. We haven't done that in a while. And then he's probably going to smoke cigarettes like a chimney, and I'm going to have to, wear a N95 mask or something before I die of secondhand smoke inhale. But anyway, so we're going to go, and we've got a day thing with this startup company that we're working with, and then the next half a day, and then we're going to drive back. And Thursday, I've got I think I'm just going to sleep the whole way back and make him drive because I'm slammed with work on Thursday. It's just crazy. I should have told Bobby that I couldn't work on Thursday, but anyway. Moving on, NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight. What do you think, man? Tied 2-2.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I think Halliburton hasn't been performing quite like the star he needs to really get this done. I think they're doing great, but I mean, Oklahoma City just seems so strong, confident. I mean, their guys are playing. I mean, I think the Pacers still have a chance, but I just thought Halliburton would have done a little more than he has,
especially at home.
Yep.
You know, after pulling one out in OKC, I think both teams have been super hot and cold. Like no one's been able to just come out consistent. You know, I think game 1 and 2, OKC was pretty consistent. Just Indiana just pulled it out that first game. Just kind of a miracle there. But going back to OKC tonight, I don't know. I think it's good drama.
Yep.
I guess ratings are down. I know stations are really kind of pushing it since it's tied. Like, you got to watch this one. Every minute counts, which is fine. But maybe it's two small market teams the big markets don't care about.
Yep.
And I think there's some excellent players, but there's no, I mean, SGA is amazing.
He really is.
He's just young, and I don't think he has that star power yet. And, you know, if I wasn't paying attention, like I have been during the playoffs, I wouldn't even know who SGA is really. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But he's crazy. He's got mad skills.
He really
does. I don't know if the kids say that anymore, but I just said it. But he's just so smooth.
He really is.
And quick, but you know, it's a shame. I think a part of it is the NBA's kind of put themselves in this predicament as far as the way they've marketed themselves the last couple of years.
Yep.
So they need kind of a superhero to bring them back. They tried it with LeBron. I just don't think LeBron had the personality. I think LeBron's a fantastic talent, one of the greatest, but his game is a little bit different. His personality is a little bit different, and there's a turnoff factor, I think, to him for some
100%.
Some fans. So, I mean, for me, it was just he seems like such a powerhouse of a guy, you know, like his physique, but his game is not tough.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, he'll throw down for sure when he with some hard dunks and stuff, but I just can't deal with the flopping.
Yeah.
That's one of my least favorite things about the game these days is, like, you know, someone sneezes and then someone falls over and, you know, whatever. But anyway, I don't know. I hope Indiana pulls out a win. You know, they're going to have to they're going to have to win a second game in OKC to win the finals. So
Yep, they will.
That's all there is to it. This would be the one to do it and go home and close it out in 6, but we'll see.
Yep.
We shall see. All right. Last but not least, any cool stuff going on in the personal life, Matt?
In the personal life, no, nothing too crazy going on. I'd been kind of traveling around there and going camping and done all that good stuff. So these past few weeks have just been kind of really grinding, just getting things together. So nothing too crazy there. Orioles personally are doing a little bit better. So they might be doing a little better. And then, other than that, I did this weekend. I got some plants to grow in our garden. So that's an update personally.
Oh, look at you with the green thumb. What are you growing?
So last year
you're in Colorado. It better be legit stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I did pretty good in North Carolina last year. So I was like, okay, I can do it this year. So I got a couple different peppers, cayenne peppers, green peppers, things like that. And then I've never done a fruit. So I got a strawberry plant. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Are you doing the strawberry right in the ground? Or are you doing one of those hanging ones where it kind of comes out and then it hangs?
I'm just doing it kind of, in the pot on the ground. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I planted some flowers. I put in a flower bed in our backyard, planted a couple mini rose bushes and some other greenery things that my wife picked out. I couldn't tell you what they're called, but we almost bought a bunch of these hosta things that are cool. You know, they big leaves and they grow and they grow crazy big and stuff. But then I found out that those will only live good in the shade.
Okay.
And so I'm like, honey, we can't get these. These are going to be in direct sunlight almost all day long. So I found out these roses should be pretty good. We bought a bunch of ferns, which are kind of, you don't have to water them all that much. You just got to kind of mist them daily and they'll, so Yard's looking pretty nice. Like I said, I kind of built some drainage in the front yard. Now I got to grow some grass where I built those little trenches. But
Nice.
so yeah, no, cool. But so like I said, I was telling you earlier, we had a scrimmage last night, so that was cool. The team we played a couple weeks ago, Reedsville, which is a small town about a half an hour west of where I live, and they killed us the first time we played them. 21-2, I think, maybe. Yeah, 21-2. And we didn't finish the game. I think we either ran out of time or we were just like, that's enough. That's enough of a beating. We struggled with pitching early, and once you get down, if you don't have pitchers, you're just walking people. So that's what happened there. But they're still, coach is still a nice guy. He messaged me a few days later, hey, we still want to scrimmage. You mind if we do a scrimmage? You guys can come up with us, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it's a Sunday night. We usually practice at 6 at our place, getting my guys out and with the families out at 5:00 on Father's Day. Out by you, probably not going to work out real great. Do you think you guys can make it by us? I'll turn the lights on. We can stay late, whatever. So he got back to me and yep. So they came up by us. That was cool. And, we didn't win the scrimmage, but we lost 9-4. So, it was a tight game. Now we played no walks. So every batter had to hit or strike out.
Okay.
Man, we had a couple guys on our team that I didn't realize that could pitch. So what I did is I pitched a different guy every inning. We only played 6. So I pitched 6 different guys. And the guy that I thought was kind of our best pitcher, he probably pitched the worst. Maybe not the worst, but not that bad. He didn't pitch that bad. He probably, if we would have been walking, he probably would have walked 3 people that inning maybe. But none of our guys would have walked more than 3 people in an inning, which was pretty good for our guys. We were really not doing great. But one of the kids, the one I started, he's been kind of over the last couple of weeks, hey, can I try pitching? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get you on. Just never got him in there because we were just getting banged around a lot. And I hadn't seen him pitch in practice or anything. But so I started him. He pitched really good. He's got some good velocity for a smaller guy, not a big guy, but he can throw hard. Nice. So that made me feel really good. And then I kind of was thinking about, man, I got to figure out a better way to evaluate skills earlier on in the season if I do this again. So that's always tough to do when you got limited time and 17 guys on one team. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
The other thing I realized too is I got to make a decision when it comes to this coaching thing, right? Which is when you got in baseball, when you got a bunch of guys and they're all, 13, 14 years old, but they all still want to play. They all still want to get up to bat. They all still want to get out in the field, but as the games move on, it's becoming more and more clear who the guys are that you can count on at the plate and that you can count on in the field, right? Yep. So, and it's not like Little League where the philosophy is let everybody play, figure, that kind of a thing. So, but again, I still look at the guys and they still get this disappointed look. Even inning to inning, they're all kind of like swarming me like ants. Coach. Can I go in at this? Can I go in? Can I do this? Can I pitch? Yeah. Can I do this? Can I play second? Can I play short? Can I do this? And when you got 17 guys, you're going to only get 9 on the field at a time, and everybody else is sitting. So, I try to rotate guys in and move them around to get them, in this last game, I was sitting people every inning, in and out, in and out, in and out. But you could tell there was a big difference between even when, guys that beg you to get in, they get in there and they're, watching the clouds or turning the wrong way, or they can't remember where to line up in the outfield and stuff like that, even though you've told them a lot. Yep. So there's this, I'm kind of a softie. And it's funny because growing up, I was on teams where coaches weren't softies. If you didn't perform well in practice, or if you didn't hustle in practice, or if you cocked off, or if you had bad language, or all these different rules that you put in place for your kids to try to turn them into good young men, you broke those things, you didn't play. Yep. And here it hasn't been like that. And there was some things going on because during the scrimmage, I didn't have an ump or anything, behind the plate. So I had one of my coaches calling balls and strikes behind the backstop. And I had a coach that was gone that usually does first base coaching. So my other coach, she was coaching first base for me, did a great job, but she's usually my dugout coach. She's usually one tracking things on our app, the scores and the stats, and keeping the kids from, fighting and cursing and just being knuckleheads.
Yep.
And our dugout is not enclosed. So it's like the stands where the parents sit, and then 5 feet, and then the bench where all the players are sitting. So everything a player says, the parents can hear.
Yep.
So they're just, I'm not close to them so I can't hear them when I'm out at third base. So, but I got some feedback from parents, my wife, from a coach, that these kids are kind of out of control when it comes to the way they're acting over there and things they're saying. So I'm gonna have to kind of tamp that down a little bit this next game. Just let them know, hey, if I've got spies, everybody's listening. Yeah. Any feedback I get, you're sitting.
Yep.
You're sitting. You're just not going to play. And the other thing I got to talk about is, hey, couple more games here. We're going to keep this up. Everybody's going to get to bat. I'm going to try to get everybody into play. But as we get closer to the end of the season, we're going to stop doing that because we're not winning. We're not winning the best record for the season. But we could do really well in the end of season tournament if we start to function as a team in a way that we bat the lineup, and then we can sub the lineup, but we're not batting 17 people. We got to figure out how to win games and bat 9 people.
Right.
So, because, when we get past 7 or 8 guys, man, it's, we played 6 innings and guys were lucky to bat twice yesterday. It takes a long time to get through a lineup when, you've got 7 more guys to bat, and they're all probably going to strike out. And that's an inning every 3 guys. So anyway, that's my coaching video blog, right? That's what I'm going through. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's fun as heck. I'm definitely not complaining. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Last week, I don't know if I talked about this all, but last week my daughter had a basketball camp with like the high school program. And she played basketball for the first time last year. So this is kind of her first full summer. We're doing some training stuff. She loved it, man. She was all over it. She did really well. They do these little like short shot competitions for they shoot left side, right side, left side, right side for a minute. How many can you get? And they do left hand layups, right hand layups, left hand layups, right hand, boom, 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 boom. They have to get back to the free throw line and lay up back in the free. And how many can you get done in a minute? And then at the end, they would do like a lightning competition. If you ever played lightning, that little game usually you play it at the free throw line where all the kids or all the players line up in a line, and there's 2 balls. The guy or gal in the front has the ball, and the person behind him has the ball. You shoot first. If you make it, you get your rebound, pass it to the next person. If you miss it, you got to keep shooting. And the person behind you, if they make it before you, you're out, right? Yep. So apparently that was too easy. So they backed it up to the 3-point line. And these are like 6th, 7th grade girls, maybe some 8th grade girls, but they're pretty young girls still. And I went on Monday. I didn't go on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I went on Thursday. On Tuesday, she was in a super good mood. I get home from work and I found out she won lightning from the 3-point line. She made like 5 3-pointers. I've never seen her take a 3-pointer, even like at home. Yeah. But she was so proud of herself. It's really cool when she's still trying to get some of her athleticism in, but she's really natural at it, and she loves to work hard. If you give her a piece of paper and it says like, here's all the drills you have to do and here's how many times you have to do them, you do them, you write down what you did and you sign it, like you got a week to get this done. She's done in a day. Nice. She's super competitive like that. So she had fun. She worked really hard. That was really cool to see. Yeah. So,
cool. Love to hear it.
Good stuff. Man. Yeah, man. You got to get some of those kiddos, man. Someday.
I know. Yep, I know. I definitely want kids at some point here in the future. So definitely want that, and then want to really get involved with some coaching here soon too. Like you were saying, that would just seem like a blast. So yeah, all that sounds so fun, and shout out to the kids. Sounds like they're killing it in both their sports. So
yeah, they're having fun. I think you'd be good. I think you'd be a natural just seeing the way kind of we interact and the way you interact with my staff. I think you'd be a natural at coaching. Just you played baseball and stuff, so you know how it goes.
Teach them a thing or two too. Get some pickle drills in there.
That's right, for sure. Oh, we had a pickle yesterday in the game, and we got him out at home. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got to do it out at home in a pickle between third and home. It was great. It was
nice.
Great. Yeah. They still need a little bit of work on it, but yeah, we got him. Really good throw to home, and the guy didn't have a chance. He dusted him.
Love it.
Anyway, cool, man. Well, that's all I've got today for episode 67 of Daily PLP. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.